Alright, this is pt02 again, and this is part 2 of the new Megazord review. And the last part we went over each Dinozord individually, and for this one we are going to do the battle tank formation, I think that's what it was called, and the Megazord itself. Alright, so which one to start off with? Might as well start with the T-Rex. So we're going to collapse the legs down and take the arms up all the way to the shoulders, and that's pretty much it for the T-Rex. I guess you could take that knee joint out. I actually prefer to leave it out like this because it kind of balances the tail better, and it just it looks better in tank mode. For the Mastodon, we're going to be taking the head off. You've got a little handle back here, which will be the Megazord's shield, but in tank mode, there's a hole on the T-Rex's chest. Plug that in there, and there you go. Then the Mastodon's body will unfold, and you'll just leave the Mastodon feet like this. Bring the arms forward, and the whole thing just clips onto the T-Rex's back, kind of like a backpack of sorts. Bring those arms forward a little bit. Alright, and we're getting closer. And I can't remember if the shoulder pads are out or if they stay in. I'm going to leave them in, just so it makes the Megazord extra special when we finally get around to making it. Triceratops, all you gotta do is fold the tail forward. Saber-toothed tiger, you gotta move these legs forward, fold these legs up under the body, and move the tail forward. And then they plug in on the T-Rex's knees, like so. Whoops. And last, we've got the pterodactyl. You'll just take these odd little gun feet off, and they actually plug in the front right here on the bottom of the Mastodon's feet. And the pterodactyl has got two little peg-like things right here that will actually attach right between the Mastodon's front feet. And there we go. This is the battle tank formation, I think it was called. In the show, this is usually what they would form before actually forming the Megazord. They would combine all their Zords together and just kind of roll around like this. Now, the original Megazord had wheels on the bottom of the Triceratops and Saber-toothed tiger, so it would actually roll around, but there's no wheels on this version, as you saw in part 1, so he just kind of has to slide around. But it still looks really nice and pretty accurate to the original. So, they rarely actually used this in the show to fight. They usually just formed this and then went straight to the Megazord without even attempting to fight using this battle tank formation thing. Anyway, to create the Megazord, we'll take these little guns off of the arms, take the Mastodon head off of the T-Rex's chest, and take the pterodactyl off the T-Rex's back. Then the legs just kind of come up like so, just fold them out to the straight. The T-Rex's tail comes up and just clips on between the Mastodon's feet. Then just pull the Triceratops and Saber-toothed tiger heads forward, and now he's got feet. And I think I'm going to have to raise the camera now. There we go. The arms come down. Actually, probably before you bring the arms down, we'll probably want to rotate these feet out to expose the Megazord's hands. Then the arms can come down. The shoulder pads come out. The T-Rex's chest opens up, and the T-Rex head folds down inside the chest, close that back up, take the pterodactyl, fold its head back and the wings down, and then it clips right on the front to form the Megazord's chest. Take these little guns that we took off earlier, and they'll clip on the Mastodon's feet on the back, pointing up. And then the last step in the show was always that the head fins swung around to the side. And now we have completed our new Megazord. And I have to say, it looks really, really nice. Unfortunately, I don't have the original Megazord anymore to compare this to on camera, although I think it's a little bit smaller than the original Megazord. It's close. In fact, I brought my Master Grade Exia to compare it to a 1:100 scale Gundam model, so this Megazord's about a foot tall. I think I stood him up next to my Perfect Grade Astray, and I think they were about the same height. Astray might have had a half or maybe a whole inch on Megazord, but not much at all. Anyway, you can take the Mastodon head with this little handle on the back, use that as Megazord's shield, which he rarely used in the show, but is still nice to have. And we've got an accessory that doesn't connect to any of the Dinozords, but he does come with his signature sword, which on the original Megazord, this sword was chrome. And actually, depending on when you bought your Megazord, you might have gotten a different one. I think, if you know anything about Power Rangers, they were plagued by parents complaining about the show being too violent and all this crap, and the government was going after them, trying to make it less violent, and it was just a really bad scene. For us kids, anyway, who wanted all the kung fu action. Anyway, the sword, I think the early Megazords had a sword that looked just like this, except it was all chrome silver, with a pointy tip and everything. And that's the original Japanese version. But I think later on, I've seen Megazords that had a chrome sword, but it had like a rounded tip that wasn't nearly as sharp. So, I guess just to be safer. And then I think I've also seen Megazord swords that were just a flat silver like this one, but also had a round tip. Now on this version, we get the nice sharp tip because the sword is made of a flexible, floppy plastic. I think it's similar to the plastic that Bandai uses to make polycaps for Gundam models, but yeah, still looks good, but still safe enough that you're not going to gouge your eye out or anything. Anyway, it just goes in the hand. And there we go. For articulation, the arms can go 360. They can't go out or anything. The elbows can move in, like so. There's no articulation in the head, unfortunately. The legs can go out one notch until they hit the pterodactyl's little tail fins. The knees can't bend, unfortunately. They can... Whoops. That's what I get for trying to do this with one hand. They can bend forward, but how many people do you know who have knees that bend forward? So yeah, no articulation in the knees, although there is one improvement that this has over the original, and that the legs can rotate to the side. I don't think the original could do that. I might be wrong, so let me know if you are more familiar than I am with Megazord, but I don't think the original had rotating legs at the bottom. And then, of course, the feet, which are just the heads of the Triceratops and Saber-toothed tiger, can bend down like so. So that's about it for the new Megazord review. This is definitely pretty nice. It was only $25, so it's definitely an affordable alternative to going on eBay and buying an original Megazord, which will probably run you about $100 complete in the box. My only question about this is, if Bandai was going to go through so much trouble to make a copy of the original Megazord, I wonder why they didn't improve it any. Like, you'd think they would have given it better articulation or, you know, some kind of fancy gimmick, but they didn't. It's almost a perfect, exact replica of the original, just slightly smaller and with different colored plastics. But other than that, it's pretty good for the price you'll pay for it. So that's it for this review, and I will see you guys next time.